To illustrate my comments earlier that these changes are found across many sectors, this data is from a 2016 study of the activities of disability services organisations. Similar to the data from the whole NFP sector, the same proportions of organisations are collaborating for advocacy, servicing clients, resource sharing and a raft of other activities. It's worth noting the sample sizes in this research. These are not small-scale studies. So, if you're not in this game already, it's time you thought about where collaborations sit in your strategic framework. The mergers data is also very interesting. The 2017 data shown in this slide highlights that more than a third of boards had discussed the possibility of merging. 7% of organisations are undertaking a merger and 6% completed a merger. These same questions have been asked of NFP directors for the last 4 years and the results are consistent every year. Interestingly, 9% of boards have discussed winding up or closing their NFP. This is also worth reflecting on for a moment. That's nearly 1 in 10 organisations that have either completed their mission, do not see a future for their organisations or are no longer viable. It will be interesting to see how many do actually close. For those of you who might be adding these results, you should note that the options were not mutually exclusive. That is, some organisations discussing merger may also be discussing closure, particularly those that are struggling financially. For these 38% of organisations discussing merger, 20% stated they were between 75% and 100% likely to merge within the next 2 years, which adds up to about the same percentage of organisations merging each year. Let's now look at some data specific to disability services. The results were similar in regard to actual merger activity, but there was a slightly higher proportion of organisations discussing merger. For the disability services, we also asked about ceasing provision of disability services, but continuing with other services. 16% of organisations had considered this option. So why are disability service providers discussing undertaking mergers? This final chart shows the reasons for disability service organisations discussing the idea of mergers. Again, these results are similar across the whole NFP sector. For 18% of organisations, the main reason that mergers are being discussed as a way of broadening the range of services. This was also a key reason for a further 23% of organisations. Many organisations are also looking at merger as a means to improve their efficiency, to gain market share, or increase the number of people they serve, which really is much the same thing. The main reason for considering merging for 15% of organisations is that they are not financially sustainable on their own, and this is a key reason for a further 10% of organisations. Individual CEOs are telling us a lot of things as part of this research. They're saying they're responding to government restructuring contracts and the way funding is provided, the way we need to be focused on individualised funding and person-centred care, and also in relation to survival for the organisation. If you're too small or too specific, sometimes there could be bad financial ramifications associated with that situation.